McPherson Ridge. The Battle of Gettysburg began about 8 a.m. to the west beyond the McPherson Barn, as Union cavalry confronted Confederate infantry advancing east along Chambersburg Pike. Heavy fighting spread north and south along this ridgeline as additional forces from both sides arrived. At 1 p.m., Major General Robert E. Rhodes, Confederates attacked from this hill, threatening Union forces on McPherson and Oak Ridges. 75 years later, over 1,800 Civil War veterans helped dedicate this memorial to peace eternal in a nation united. Oak Ridge. Union soldiers here held stubbornly against Rhodes' advance. By 3:30 p.m., however, the entire Union line from here to McPherson Ridge had begun to crumble, finally falling back to Cemetery Hill. Little Round Top. Quick action by Brigadier General Gouverneur K. Warren, Meade's chief engineer. The Confederate alerted Union officers to the Confederate threat and brought Federal reinforcements to defend this position. The wheat field. Charge and countercharge left this field and the nearby woods strewn with over 4,000 dead and wounded. High water mark. Late in the afternoon, after a 2-hour cannonade, some 7,000 Union soldiers posted around the copse of trees. The Angle and the Bryan Barn repulsed the bulk of 12,000-man Pickett's charge against the Federal center. This was the climactic moment of the battle. On July 4th, Lee's army began retreating. Total casualties, killed, wounded, or captured, and missing for the 3 days of fighting was 23,000 for the Union Army and as many as 28,000 for the Confederate Army. 87 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate. We cannot consecrate. We cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggle here, have consecrated it, far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they give the last full measure of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. Abraham Lincoln.